Hello everybody, happy World Tai Chi Day. And it's a shame we can't be celebrating together in person, but until the pandemic eases up, we'll at least be able to stay connected virtually. And hoping that the time comes pretty soon where we can interact, push hands, and be with each other on a physical as well as energetic level. My name is Steve Bushman. I'm from the Bushido Karate Academy, where we teach Isshin-ryu Karate and Yang-style Tai Chi. My instructor is George Hoffman from Silver Dragon. So big thank you, Lao Shur, for all your teachings and especially all your support. Today I'm going to discuss a little bit about the four primary energies in Tai Chi. So namely, we're talking about ward-off, roll-back, press, and push. So these four primary energies are usually combined in some way, shape, or form with the four secondary energies, which would include shoulder stroke, elbow strike, pull down or pluck, and separate or split energy. So any style of Taijiquan is going to have these 8 energies in it. If it doesn't have these 8 energies, it's not Taijiquan. Regardless of whether it's Yang style, Wu style, Chen style, Wudang style, whatever style, Sun style, whatever style of Tai Chi can have these energies in some fashion. And they're going to look different across each style. We're going to discuss primarily a Yang style perspective today. But the energetic component is going to be universal throughout. The manifestation of the energy will look different depending on your style, your lineage, how you were taught, etc. So definitely do what your teacher tells you to do. I'm going to make the shapes that we make in our form, but definitely are applicable to other styles as well. So when we talk about these energies, and we're going to focus on the 4 primary ones today, a lot of people get stuck in the physical movements that represent these energies. Basically, grasp Sparrow's Tail. However, after that set of movements, these energies show up throughout the form. Every single posture is going to have some form of these energies in it, or else it's not Tai Chi. So we're going to use the Sparrow's Tail as a template for what we're going to talk about, and then I'm going to urge you to explore the feeling of those energies in the rest of your form. So the mother of all energies, the cornerstone, if you will, of the 4 primary ones is ward-off or pung. And ward-off is a very expansive kind of energy. And it's not just expansive forward, because as people, we tend to think about our world in a 180-degree vista, right? We tend to not be as aware of what's going on behind us, or above us, or below us even. Pung is an expansion in all those directions. And it's spherical in nature. It's just that the ball is inflating, okay? So if you think about the nature of, say, a rubber ball that's got air and increasing pressure, it's expanding the ball, the surface of the ball, outwardly on all sides in an equal manner. And if you also think about another characteristic of this ball, when it's got some air pressure, you can push on it and it will give a little bit, but then it'll push back. All right, so it's got this resiliency to it, it's got a buoyancy effect to it, as if you would think about a boat being suspended on top of the water, that buoyancy that is pushing the boat up. So we want to develop this sense of energy, and as I said, it's one of the big ones, not only just to make our Taijiquan better, but once you start developing this, and one of the great ways, by the way, to do this is not just your form movement, but your standing meditation. Okay, so you're standing pose, you're holding the tree, and you are probably bored, you're probably not doing this long enough, and then your mind gets thinking and the monkey mind takes over. That's the whole point. We want to get rid of the monkey mind and sink into our dantian and allow that energy to expand. What it's seeking to do is find this connectedness throughout the entire body and expand outward. And if you start cultivating this type of energy, what it's going to do for you is, the name says, it's warding things off. And it could be warding off negativity, it could be warding off a bad experience, it could be warding off getting hurt in an accident. So you'll find that once you develop this through your standing meditation or through your form, or a combination of the two, that stuff is gonna bother you less, okay? You're gonna get hurt less, you're gonna get sick less, you're gonna feel this protective nature of the energy. So when we start our form, in the yang style forms, we usually start with ward off left, and then we go into Sparrow's Tail, starting with ward off right. Now the hand position might be different between these two, and depending on the form you do or the style you do, the fingers may or may not point to the inner wrist gate. The circularity of the motion may vary. But the underlying principle of this expansion, warding things off, is what's key with that, okay? So the beauty about Sparrow's Tail is it kind of sets up the next energy after the previous one. So if we move from ward off into what some people consider its opposite of rollback, it's not quite, it's polar opposite, but it's definitely got opposite qualities of it, okay? We're rolling back, getting out of the way. And if you think about what's happening, so if I'm fighting my imaginary opponent over here, and I just did this ward off here, and now I'm going to get some resistance from my opponent. Whether it's in the form of another ward off on his or her part, or a push, or a press, or what have you, okay? Doesn't really matter, but let's just, for the sake of argument, pretend that I'm being presented with more ward off energy from my opponent. So I keep warding off, and he keeps warding off, we're going to start butting heads, and then that all of a sudden doesn't become very Tai Chi-like. So I want to yield, okay? I want to redirect. I want to be soft at this point. So the first part of your rollback actually will have some pung in it. And we are going to make some contact with our opponent who is entering my space, attacking me. Okay, so I got a little bit of pung nature, and then I let it go. And I rotate, I sink, I turn. So what I'm doing here in most cases is I'm sticking to my opponent and getting out of the way and drawing them in a direction that's not threatening to me. It also creates an opportunity for me. So I am rolling back. In this case, I'm going downward. It could be an upward rollback as well. And then I have a choice, okay? Whatever's going to present itself, I make the best choice. And it could be adding in, say, a secondary energy, maybe pull down, turn this into a takedown armbar sort of scenario, okay? Or it could be using that to create an opening for my opponent, okay? A hole he can fall into, and I can take advantage of. And if you don't know what I mean by creating a hole, if you ever pushed hands with a really good push hands player, so if you push with David Ritchie or Stephen Watson, you find yourself in that hole and you know it, and you're already done, right? So that setup of being able to counter is really, really important. So it's not retreating, okay? It's getting out of the way but maintaining position, okay? So it's not 100% passive, right? You're not a rag doll that's just collapsed, you know, doing whatever they want to do to you. No, you have structure, you have this little bit of pung in the beginning, and then you're getting out of the way, sticking, redirecting. And then we have this opportunity for my next move, and in Sparrow's Tail it follows well with press, or G. And So I'm coming with press, okay? Press, the quality of press and the hand positions, again, will vary. Usually you have one hand connected to in some energetic fashion to the other hand or wrist. Okay, whether they touch or not is not important. But this idea of press, okay, and this kind of reminds me of the inherent problem we have in the translation of Chinese terms, and we think of press. So what does that mean to our English-speaking mind, all right? It can also be translated as squeeze, okay? It can also be translated as to crowd, okay? So the crowding element would be akin to maybe you're trying to get on a crowded subway and you're weaving your way into the crowd, right? You're not busting down the door and hitting people on your way in. You're kind of getting in there, penetrating into where you want to go. And so we have this nature of getting inside, penetrating, okay? And if you think about, if I hit you with press, it can be a strike. I don't necessarily want you to go stumbling backwards. I want that impact of my strike or my counter to penetrate into your body. So if you think of the dim mak setup where they're targeting an internal organ, okay? You're going inside the body to do damage. Okay? If you just knock somebody back, that motion in and of itself kind of absorbs the blow a little bit and maybe gets them out of your range of where you want to control your opponent. So this idea of getting inside the body, penetrating, it also has this nature of squeezing. Okay? And it could be very simple as squeezing your palm and your wrist together energetically or physically, okay? And this pushing forward and pulling back with this straight line trajectory is going to be also very powerful in achieving that penetration. Press is also the place where you find a lot of the chin na or tuite joint locks. So if you have this setup with your arms, okay, you can see how you can have somebody's appendage, whether it's wrist lock, arm bar, whatever it is. I have this thing that I'm seizing and controlling, chin na, in order to affect an outcome. Okay, so it has a couple different uses. Okay, it's been described as palm-like energy, but laser beam straight line kind of thing. And that's an okay way to think about it as well. Okay, but it's very focused, penetrating, manipulating, getting inside, weaving your way inside something kind of energy. And in my opinion, is very powerful as well. So at the end of press, we have withdraw and push. Okay? So withdraw can be considered a movement on its own. Okay? But if you think about, here's my press, and I'm going to withdraw, I'm going backwards. Okay? Going backwards, but I'm also sinking into that rear leg. All right, so I'm accepting whatever is being thrown at me or pushed at me. I'm receiving that, and I'm letting that go down through my leg and into the earth. Okay, so now if you think about my opponent who's attacking me, I keep receiving and keep receiving and keep receiving. At some point, the wind is going to run out of his sails, or he's going to go too far. Okay. If he goes too far, he can fall forward, he's going to be off balance, and that's an easy outcome. Okay. If he realizes, hey, if I keep going, I'm going to be in trouble, okay, he's going to stop. Okay. At either one of those places, I can respond with my push. Now, we talk about push or on. Again, going back to the English translation, okay, if you think about language and how it shapes our perspectives of something. Okay, so you walk into Tai Chi school, you don't really know much, and you're asked to do your 24 form, and you're asked to rock back. Well, rocking back to some people can be rocking, okay, back and forth. And that's not really what we mean by rock back. Okay. So it's very similar with push. You think of push, a lot of people think shove. Oh, I know how to push somebody. I can shove somebody. I can push something out of the way. Okay. So we kind of get a little stereotyped in our assumption of what this posture is going to feel like or look like. And if you think about when you're going to push something, mentally you are expecting something to push back. You're expecting some resistance. You're expecting an object that's going to require force on your part to move. Right? And that's not really what on energy is all about. Okay. In my mind, it's more about reaching. Okay. And so if I'm in the kitchen, I'm getting something out of the cabinet. Oh, there's the jar of sauce. I go up and I get it. There's no thought in my mind about stopping. Okay. I'm going and I'm going to grab that. Right. So if you think about the martial artist term or phrase, don't punch at, punch through, our tendency is to maybe stop where we have an impasse, okay? And this is one of the beautiful lessons of Tai Chi, that your intention is not going to be stopped by your self-imposed limitations, okay? So we need to kind of get out of our own minds a little bit and use our intention to guide us not only to, but in and through and beyond my target or my life, whatever I want to do. I need to have that intention to keep going through it. So I'll do this facing the camera. So we did our press, and then we're going to withdraw, sink, allow things to go down as far as they need to go. And then when it's time, that same energy that went down into the ground, okay, if you think about it coming back up through the leg, and as the classics say, pull and dantian, go up the back and out the arms and express through the fingertips, that kind of pathway, okay, I'm going to come back with my own push. Okay, and if you notice, there's a little bit of, well, the spiral nature to most things in Tai Chi. Okay, but it's not back, forth, okay? Withdrawing, spiraling down, and then spiraling forward and over, okay? So there's this wave-like quality to push, and you can push somebody to uproot them, or you can push somebody over and down to drop them, depending on what you want to do. But in this instance, your idea is to get somebody out of the way, all right, without using effort to get them out of the way, if that makes any sense. So then we have our Sparrow's Tail, okay, so we have our ward off, roll back, press, squeeze, crowd, withdraw, and push. So, if we stopped here, we would say, okay, well, those are the four primary energies, and then you forget about them until they show up later in the form. And my challenge to you guys is to find out where these energies show up in postures that are not in Sparrow's Tail. And then to think about what they mean for you and what they mean for the posture. These are feelings. These are happening internally and being expressed physically, and the expression can vary, okay? So maybe you're thinking about single whip. Okay? There's a lot going on with single whip, right? So it's been said it's a very expansive posture, right? So we have here, expand, okay? You can also say that there could be split energy here too if you wanted, all right? So it really kind of depends on what I'm getting at. So now you're doing a posture like cartwheels versus main or diagonal flying, and you're saying, wow, this looks a lot like ward off, so it must be ward off. No, Okay, this could be very much a split type of energy. So, and that's different from ward off, and it's going to make the horse's mane or the diagonal flying posture feel different. And to the trained eye look different, but more importantly, feel different and have different effects. And then you have some postures where it's really up to you, right? So now I'm doing your pulse monkey, okay? And I may be thinking about somebody is grabbing me from behind, trying to bear hug me, and his buddy is coming up in front of me, trying to attack me, okay? So maybe I want a little bit more elbow gin, okay, in going backwards. Or maybe I want a little bit more push, or maybe this is going to be some kind of press energy, depending on what I'm looking for going forwards, all right? So it's going to depend on the situation and where you put it, all right? So if you look at these Tai Chi masters, and they put their energy anywhere they want, it's all of a sudden becomes elbow gin, all of a sudden becomes cow or a bump or something. And it's very subtle, it's just boom, right there, all right? So it's really up to you and what you're intending to do with your form. But place to start is just to be aware of what's going on. Okay? After you memorize the moves, after you can kind of get through the choreography, okay, and you start understanding through Sparrow's Tail what the nature of these different energies are, you can start to look for them in the rest of your form, all right? And they're there, and they're not going to be the exact same for everybody because, again, some postures are pretty, yeah, this is pong, whatever, okay? And other postures, well, maybe this could have some split, or maybe this could have some plucking energy to go with my rollback, okay? So that's really the joy and the challenge for you to discover, where do these energies show up? And am I aware of them? And can I make the most of them? Can I adapt them? And find where they are in each of the postures and then play with them. Understand them more than just the physical positioning of your body, because it's really an internal thing that's being expressed by the movements, not the other way around. So try not to make that assumption. So I hope this was helpful. I miss you guys and look forward to a time when we can be back. If you have any questions, please feel free to get in touch with me. Again, my name is Steve Bushman. You can find us on the web at www.bushidokarateacademy.com. Email bushidokarate@sbcglobal.net or phone 860-623-6638. Thank you. Have a great day. Happy World Tai Chi Day, everybody.